Gotcha.
Hey, Aaron.
How
Travis.
you doing, man?
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Hold on a second.
Oh,
I'm gonna set some things up here.
So how many people does this allow?
Up to
We
100.
Yeah, up to 100 people we could have.
I got 4 boxes on my screen right now. I don't know if I can see them.
So there's a couple different screens that we can go through, guys. How many of y'all are on a computer and who's on a phone? You're on a phone.
I'm on a phone.
All right. If you're on a phone, if you like swipe your screen to the right, you should be able to go to another page that should show everybody's screen. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're on
Benny's over here hanging out by himself, man. Hey,
Huh?
Benny, what's up? It's just me and Benny over here. Y'all do what y'all want. Me and Benny gonna chill.
We'll give it a couple of minutes, see who else wants to drop in. All right.
I ain't gonna leave you by yourself, Benny. I'm
Thank
here,
you.
bro.
Thank you.
All right. Let's just give it a minute. I got some people messaging me. How do I get into these things? I got to send them the link and whatnot.
All right.
Well, I was supposed to be doing this from my firehouse, but my wife decided to give us a little scare with our baby. So we had to go to the hospital. Blood pressure was like through the roof. So she's all right. Baby's all right. Now I get to be home for the night. And hey, that rhymed. Yeah, I get to be home with her for the rest of the night. So
that's what you thought,
right?
So baby might have other ideas.
Here's my drink because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Aaron and Benny, it looks like y'all are on duty. Those look like station walls.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Where y'all?
Are me and Matthew the only two with freedom right now?
Pretty much.
That's all right. I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah, me too.
Benny, where do you work at, buddy?
I work in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's a municipality. We got about 550 uniformed personnel.
Cool.
That's a pretty big department. Jeremy, how many does St. George have?
We have 290 something on the floor.
Okay.
That's just line personnel, though.
Yeah.
They probably have another 20 of people that want to work at the fire department.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And Aaron, you're working up in Folsom?
Yeah.
You used to work in Bogalusa, though?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been about 10 years, about 10 and a half years down there.
Cool, man.
Had to come to a little different scenery.
Yeah, sometimes you got to change it up a little bit.
Yeah. Go from the big city to the small town.
Yeah, small town.
Hold on. Small town. Bogalusa was you leaving the big city?
Pretty much.
I like it.
Oh, man. That's great.
We had the big city fun, but small town atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would run for a couple months, we were running like a house fire every other shift or every shift. 2 months straight, we had a little arsonist running around, so we was running structure fires every shift. And then I went from that to running a few med calls a day.
Man.
Yeah.
So,
They end up catching them?
Yeah, finally, after about a year.
You know, one of the strangest things I've ever been to was a guy down the street from the station, and he was in the front yard wearing a woman's dress, watching this other guy's house burn. Straight up, like, you need some popcorn, brother? What's going on? And they didn't, oh, that's my next door neighbor. He's a strange cat, and so we just kind of, chalked it up to, okay, that was, one that I'm going to tell people about later. And then a few years gone by, some other suspicious fires happened. And then we made a fire at his house. We were on it pretty quick, luckily. and I had found a bunch of oil-based paint with rags in them. I'm calling an arson investigator right out the hole, and one of the arson investigators got there, and fire investigator, and one of them got there, and he said, "Yeah, this is definitely a setup." And the guy ended up getting connected to a bunch of the other fires because apparently they had found the evidence, and probably fast forward about 3 years. Hancock Fabric down the street at Drusilla and Jefferson had caught fire, and they deemed it arson. And then, like probably the next month, Drusilla Seafood had a electrical box on the back, and that's what I found in that electrical box was a can of oil-based lubricant with a rag soaked in it, and the box was just sparking, going crazy. And we got it knocked down, called a fire investigator out there, and he said, "That's your boy." Sure enough, they went down there and arrested him for both of them. They connected him to the fires. I think he's got like 20 years now.
Really?
Dang.
So put him away.
Ours started, believe it or not, the first thing he ever done was lit a mattress on fire. Our district chief and one of the engines went on a call one day. One night, the engine passed the house and seen something. Well, the district chief just so happened to be behind him and seen a mattress on fire. The very next night, he done a shed. And for 21 days straight, between 10 and 12, you was going to have a structure fire. And it was all within about a 5 or 6 block radius. So they knew it was one person. They just couldn't catch him.
Right.
We had
Go ahead.
Yeah, we had a little guy running around when I first got on with District 12, like 4 years ago. Matt, he was running around Station 5 area, lighting people's stuff on fire. We actually one night we get dispatched out to a structure fire. It's probably like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And we found a little roll of toilet paper on the side of the house. He tried lighting it on the outside of the house, tried catching it up on the siding. We got there, put a little knock on it. It didn't really get anywhere but the siding. And then my chief called it. He's like, "Watch." He's like 2-3 hours from now, he's like, "We're gonna be out here again." Sure as shit, right around the corner, a trailer, it was a vacant little trailer. He went in there and torched the place. So I think that was my first job with District 12.
Really?
A couple months later, we had a roll of toilet paper next to somebody's house, and it didn't catch. It saturated and lit, and I had to sit in front of that house for 3 hours guarding that scene till we could turn the scene over. I'm guarding a roll of toilet paper. I never felt like more of a hero.
Right? It's what they don't tell you about in the academy.
Yeah.
They had to
There's a
tack
lot
on
that
extra
I think
time
about.
because of the cost of the toilet paper. That stuff is skyrocketing, man. That's a crime.
So I see Steve's in here. What's up, Steve?
Not a whole lot. How you doing?
What up, Travis? How you, brother?
What's
we
up,
got
Steve?
multiple Steves.
Multiple Steves, right? We got Steve and Steven.
Don't mind me. I'm eating.
Are they twins?
Steve McGarrity's up there on Long Island, holding down the Sayville Dispatch tonight.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, we got Amy filming Alex down
Yeah,
there.
Alex is driving over there. Alex is from Wisconsin.
That's what's up.
Don't you know?
Go Pack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there. Oh yeah, there.
So Mr. Steve over there up in Sayville had the I think one of the most, I wouldn't say controversial posts, but definitely one that brought up the most emotion I've seen so far in a group, and that was his discussion with Smoothbore versus Fogs. And
Oh, shit.
yeah, exactly. Oh shit.
Here we go.
It's definitely a topic that brings up, emotion in people because people feel a certain way about it. I know from growing up on Long Island, Smoothbore that's all it is. And when I moved down here, it was all combination nozzles or 5 nozzles, whatever you want to call it. And it's just different. It's just a whole different way of doing it. I kind of prefer the smooth bores. I've gotten used to the fog simply based on the fact that that's what we run. But Steve, why don't you start us off and give us what you think, buddy?
Well, we ran combinations here for a while, only because we had some outdated chiefs that really hadn't taken any new training since the 90s, you know. So that was the new technology for them, but we never really had any standardized, let's just call them berry fogs for lack of a better term, right? So we never had any standardized berry fogs throughout our department. And then we started, taking some training, getting a little lessons here and there, and me personally, I'm all for more water. If I can get the most amount of water out, I don't think that the task force tip, the berry fog nozzle, offers me anything else that I can't get with a smooth bore. Except for, your trash lines, your car fires, stuff like that. But we're talking, structure fire, smooth bore. You can have your debates on what size tip you want to use, 15, 16, 7/8, what have you. But I'm a smooth bore guy. I think more water puts out the fire, and that's my thoughts on it.
There's Jeremy.
What do you guys think?
So I don't have enough time under my belt to make too many decisions, but I can tell you my grandfather did 35 years in New Orleans. And every time I talk to him, he says, "You fought a fire with a smooth bore yet? That's how real firemen fight fire."
Hey, very good.
I think it has its place, man. It's I've had enough fires where, and I say enough, but not like I've been on a lot, but fires where a smooth bore, not majority of the time, the smooth bore does the trick. Majority of the time, but I'm on a truck company, and I've been on a truck company for damn near 10 out of my 12 years combined so far, and from an aerial platform, like if this building is going down and I can't save it, give me a smooth bore all the way. But there's been times where I've had to bring that aerial in to the roof line and try to make a stop so I can save another part of this building. I try to put that ladder right there inside that roof line, get that that fog nozzle master stream on there, put it at 300 gallons, open it to a 30-degree pattern. And I've also seen guys on the inside on making an attack on an attic fire. You punch you a little hole in the ceiling, and they put it on if we have a combination line on there, they put the fog nozzle on it just to steam it out. I mean, I think it has its place. On our rigs, we had a debate for years. We tried to go all smooth bore, and we tried to go smooth bore and fog. Now it's kind of a dealer's choice. You can go smooth bore and fog, or you can go double smooth bores. But I just think they have their place. Me particularly, I'm a smooth bore guy, but I know there's a place for a fog nozzle, but it's not majority of the time. It's just dependent, I believe.
Well, I think
Bernie, talking about what Bernie was saying, I think with the aerial ladder, when you're working with an aerial, if you're trying to be a little gentle, the straight bore on the end of that, on the end of the aerial device is not the proper piece of equipment. You're going to destroy whatever you're hitting because of the GPMs that you're putting out on an aerial device. So I think I agree with you definitely on that. Where the fog nozzle has its place on the aerial device, but in the same breath, we're ordering a new tower ladder that we're not going to be able to put a fog nozzle on anyway. So
yeah, well, you're going old school with that aerial still.
Problem solved.
I think like they said, like y'all both said, they serve their purpose in the fire department. I hear a lot of guys say they use that left for life, which everybody knows. I mean, we've proven that doesn't work in today's fire.
Wow.
Maybe back in the 50s and 60s that might have worked. But nowadays, with this just rapid fire development, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Jeremy, what you got? You're muted, bud.
How's that?
Steve, what would you say? Like for me and Travis, our department runs almost straight fog nozzles. I mean, how would we go about instituting that change in our department?
Well, I think the biggest thing for everyone to realize is how many people have not actually gone out and done their own nozzle study. It's amazing. And it's really something that you don't need your department for, because I've approached chiefs about it in the past, and they're like, we ain't gonna do that, man. We got some real cool computer training coming up, and that's not where we need to be. And so I looked on the Elkhart website, and I gave the dude a call, and his name, the rep in our area, was Chuck Small. And uber nice guy. He was more than happy to get everything that we wanted to out. And what I was trying to do was conduct that nozzle study with another group of guys, because we finally put our hands on a Elkhart nozzle, and it was the difference for us between a Volkswagen and a Cadillac. And so once we got started, man, we wanted to find out more. Elkhart Brass started putting out the brass tacks and hard facts videos, and that just kind of sparked us. Maybe we need to be looking at what we're doing, as it's not the best thing. You know, our department touts itself as a progressive fire department, but we can say that all we want until we try and improve the things that we are currently doing. We are not progressive. And it's when we started doing that, that's when we started to see real progression. I know Reagan here can vouch for that. Reagan's a lieutenant with St. George, and so is Jared Richardson. He's actually my lieutenant. I'll be with him tomorrow. And, you know, we were kind of just like y'all, you know. For 30 years, we were beat over the side of the head with a combi nozzle, because that's what the guys ahead of us knew. And I even asked the question, how do I get those guys to understand? And the way it was put to me is, you just have to realize, you know, what red book they learned out of, and that they're a living, breathing example standing right before you, that what they did worked. And the last time they stepped inside of a structure, it did work. But nowadays, fires are burning faster, and it's getting to that point quicker. I know when my dad started fighting fire, he had 17 minutes. Now I've got 4. I mean, that's almost not even fair to hold that kind of information back. So really, the group of guys that you see right here, you know, people that's going to go to conferences and do stuff like that, that's the guys that are thirsting for the knowledge, and they want to spread it. And I think it's a good thing, but we just have to keep an open mind. I'm not against the use of our fog nozzles. Like I said, they do have their place. I have my preference for a smooth bore, and my preference is for the 7/8 tips. We currently run 15/16. That's more of a stick and move kind of thing. But if we study what is, I mean, everybody can tell you what's in smoke. It's unignited fuel. Well, when it reaches that ignition temperature, you're in the fuel, and it's going to be bad. You can't outrun 200 foot per second. So that left for life, right for reach, that's bullshit, man. It's right for reach, left to the burn unit.
Yeah.
You're not going to outrun 200 foot per second. And I actually fell on to the smooth bore when I worked at LSU in Baton Rouge, and I really enjoyed, and I was willing to get into the seat can and explain thermal layering and indirect attacks. And I had 2 really good instructors that showed me the ropes. And I'm a history buff. I put the history onto the fog nozzle there, and guys were eating it up. So I stepped inside the rollover prop one day, and all the fog nozzles were checked out from the warehouse. All they had was a smooth bore. So I was like, all right, well, we're going to give it a whirl with this, right? And every time I just kind of bumped the nozzle bail open a little bit, it went right into the hole and put the damn fire out. I'd have to go in there, clean out all the material, start with dry material, restart the fire, look like an ass. And I've been there for 4 years, and guys were like, "Man, I thought you were better than this." I've never used a smoothbore. I never have, and what it was doing was it was just putting the GPM needed as to where the fog nozzle on a modified power cone would just kind of steam her out. I'd shut the door. We'd usher the students out, get the next group in, lay them down. All right, here's the rollover. Open the door. I'd beat it back, rinse, lather, repeat. But every time I did it with the smoothbore, it was all cuss words I got to hear. So I started then to realize maybe something's up with this, because, in training fires, we tell people, whoa, 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 don't put the fire out. Let the next group come in. Well, that's training us to do.
I think there's a movement. I think people are understanding that today's fire dynamics, the only thing that's going to put fire out is GPMs. You got to put water. You got to flow water on. And you're seeing this movement. Smoothbores fog nozzles back in the day used to be nothing but 150s at 100, or 125s at 100 psi, those kind of things. I think you see nowadays. You see this change where you're able to change the stems, and you're able to put 160s at 50s or 150s at 50s or whatever. And I think that's a step in the right direction, because it's what it's all about to me, is making that line easier to move and flowing the most amount of water that you can. Personally, I'd still rather us have smoothbore nozzles, but I don't necessarily know that we're in the position to make that change,
Well, the thing you have to do is you just have to present the information and put it out there.
There you go. There you go.
Either fish are going to bite on it or they're not. And
Right.
you can't force feed it. And that's what I meant to tell you, Travis, that day. We were all talking about smoothbores, fogs, and everybody was putting their opinion in. But there was one guy that it was all being directed at. And I was just thinking, damn, this dude thinks we are attacking him and everything he's done in the last 25 years. And that,
Aaron, you were a part of that conversation, and I think that's kind of where this idea came from, is that, you have to have these conversations on Facebook and stuff, but you can't tell what somebody's emotions are. It's hard to comment back and forth between 30 guys trying
context.
Each person
right.
throw their opinion, and they're attached to their opinion. It's just easy when we can all get on a program like this, and we can, face to face basically sit around and have these discussions. And I can see your emotions, or whether you're joking, whatnot, and you don't feel like you're attacking somebody,
Right. I can see your face. You're not attacking me. You just share knowledge.
Well,
Right.
Here's the nuts and bolts of it. That guy, me and him worked together for several years. I was set up as his captain. He was my operator before I left my previous department. He works with us part-time now. Me and him has had this debate ever since we was sitting in the same station together with nothing to do. He come from a department that they run all fog nozzles. It's nothing else. The only smoothbore you have is on a deck gun. So where coming to this department, we have on one cross sleigh we have a smoothbore, and on the other cross sleigh we have a fog nozzle. Different people prefer different things. When you pull up to a house fire, if you want smoothbore, you pull your cross sleigh with the smoothbore. If you want a fog, you pull the cross sleigh with the fog. It's your choice. He's kind of one of them that, like I said, all he's had is fog. All he's ever seen is fog. He's been in those predicaments with us to where the captain done the left for life. They just so happen to get out in time. Now it's, left for life is the right way. We're trying to convince him that, hey, try something new, At this department, back in the past, when you pulled up on a house fire, everything was a smoothbore. You had no fog nozzle on a line. And that slowly changed, but now it's starting to go back to that. But I know him personally, and he's one that, he can take the punches and roll with it. that nope, he never got his feelings hurt, nothing like that. Believe me. But we've had that argument several times.
Well, Aaron, I didn't, to be honest with you, I wasn't worried about his feelings, but my grandma always told me, baby, you catch more flies with honey. And if I'm trying to convince someone that I didn't invent this shit, somebody passed it on to me, if I'm trying to convince them, I kind of want to not come at them. I would much rather have the conversation. And we can debate back and forth. What you can't argue with is you can't argue with numbers. And today's BTUs, what they're putting out, and the GPM that we need to provide against that. I mean, we have a 15/16 on our truck. We have a 175 at 100, and it's rocking and rolling. And I think it's one. Jared, where you at?
Dude, did you just say 175 at 100?
Yeah, I think that's wrong. I think it's 175 at 75,
bro.
It's pretty hot.
You give a war cry before you fucking open up that bell, don't you?
right. But yeah, so for me, it's not just I'm a fog nozzle guy, so I'm gonna pull the fog nozzle because we do have that at my department. Y'all all have that at y'all's departments, or you have a guy that's just gonna pull a smoothbore all the time. I'm the company officer, and I told him if we're going interior and we have a working fire, I want the smoothbore in there. But if we pull up and I just see white smoke out the soffits or either coming out the door and it kind of looks like it's the cabinet's on fire, I'm not going to bring that big gun with me because I don't want to create water. I know I've got something small in its infancy, and I just want to provide, I'm going to bring a garden hose with me. First, I'm going to see if I can knock it out with a pump tank. But then, we'll see what we got. I'm not just going to pull the smoothbore every time. It's a tactical decision. Yeah. And that's the education of it. I love this stuff. I'm into it. Y'all are all into it, and we all educate ourselves. But not a lot of people are doing that. And go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt. But I mean, going back to Mr. Thomas, I had a similar occurrence with a member a few years ago, who every time we came into work, he would change the crosslays. He would literally just change the crosslays and change the nozzles. And being at that station amongst all three shifts, I was a senior fireman, but that doesn't mean nothing to me. I was a senior fireman for my shift. So another shift has their own senior fireman and whatnot. So I went to the other two shifts and said, hey, what do you guys think about the crosslays and how they're laid out? How do you guys want them? Go train out with them, go check it out, see what you got. Come back to me. A few shifts later, they all said, hey, how we had it, that's how we want it. So guess what? It was already all three shifts were in cahoots minus one guy. So I went to the guy. I stayed over that next shift on my own time, stayed over and talked to him very cordially, just me and him. I'm not putting him on blast in front of anybody else or making him look small. I said, hey, bud, let's talk about the crosslays. And it just pretty much boiled down to him being like, well, where I used to be from, we did this and that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I said, can you give me some numbers, give me some facts, give me some things, give me some of this stuff from your studies to make me, rethink this so I can go back to the other shifts and talk. He didn't have nothing. He couldn't even bull crap me a number on anything. So with that being said, I said, all right, well, we're going back to where it is. All three shifts are in cahoots. Don't touch the crosslays after this. He said, well, I'm going to make it the way I want. I said, don't touch the crosslays. He said, well, if I want it this way, I'm getting tired of it hitting me in the dick. I said, well, either grow, don't touch the crosslays. That's it.
Those are your fucking options.
Those are your two options you have. But what it came down to after that, you know what I said? I said, there's a miseducation. I looked at it like this, instead of being like super macho and being like, oh, I just knocked somebody's dick in the dirt. I said, these guys don't have numbers. They don't have facts. They don't have anything other than conjecture to change their mind. So what did I do? I went and got facts. I went and got nozzles, pressures, reactions, the lines we have, blah, 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 blah. And I said, this is the reason why we're going to this. This is the reason why we're doing this. Do you have anything to rebut? He said, no, I don't. I said, don't touch the crossways. And that was it.
Right.
So, I mean, numbers don't lie, dude. The street, I heard it from a guy at a training at Harrisburg. I'm telling you, if you guys have never been to the Art of Firemanship in Harrisburg, Pincy, dude, I paid over $5,000 last year to go to conferences. I could have saved my $5,000 and paid $1,000 and gone to this class and got everything I needed. I heard something that just resonates with me. The streets don't lie. The experiences that you guys have and you've done, crap that did not work on scene, crap that did work on scene and in the firehouse, that shit doesn't lie, man. Trust your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a big push, you know, with the UL studies and all that stuff to go towards this, you know, scientific, you know, this is the way we got to do it because this is what the science says. And I think it's all good and dandy. I think in the day and age we live, we might as well use the technology and the science that, you know, that we're using, that we have to better educate ourselves. But at the end of the day, there needs to be some sort of blend with those two. I think we need to take the science and we need to take what's worked. I mean, yeah, fires have changed, but fires didn't just change. They changed, you know, a whole generation ago with the new fuels and stuff like that. So people have tactics and things that they do that work. And if you're going to sit here and tell me, you know, the only way to fight a fire is transitional attack because this is what the data says, I'm going to sit here and say to you, that's fine, but guys go tell that to guys in fucking Jobtown in Baltimore that they need to do a transitional attack, and they're going to tell you, stick that transitional attack up your ass. We go inside and put the fire out just as well, faster. You know, there's got to be some sort of blend there, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's got to be education and experience based. You have to melt the two together. And look, I wasn't always like this. I was always very damn the man, so to speak, and you know, everything that come out was BS because of the things that happened to me, and I just wouldn't give it a chance, and I got lost. I got in that rut, and I had a conversation with a guy that worked for me. He was getting promoted, and you know, I had to change my ways, and I saw, and I went step forward, started doing the stuff to get my fire science degree. Life took over on a couple times, but I'm still after it. But we have guys that are stuck on, I guess, experience, so to speak. It's actually time on the job, which is not experience. But they use and they say, well, you know, you ain't going to get nothing with that degree. Well, yeah, you're right. But if you're on the busy truck and you have the degree and you have the education and you're still seeking to do your job every day, that's melting both of the worlds together, where we have the education, we have the experience, and we can only go forward with that. We just can't rest our laurels on one or the other. It's got to be both. Has to be.
I'll tell you this, the more that your departments gain people, I guarantee you they'll go to education.
Oh, yeah, and we're there already.
4 years, yeah. 4 years ago, my department, you only had to be 8 years on to make captain. Now, you can make captain in 8 years. Or, no, my bad. Yeah, you can. No, you make captain in 10 years. But you better have a degree or you'll just get passed over.
Right, and that's
Yeah,
how
for
I
us, I mean, we're a small department. We have 5 stations. I think we got at a max, I think we have 16 guys on shift per day. That's including our district chief. So in order for us to make captain right now, it's 4 years, and you have to have an associate's degree in, I don't even think it needs to be fire science. If I'm remembering correctly, you just need to have an associate's degree, right, Matt?
Right.
Yeah, it's got to be fire science.
Okay, so it's got to be fire science. So I think though in the state of Louisiana, the civil service system is kind of messed up, so that kind of prevents people.
Which one?
Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, the education is worth it, but there needs to be a blend. I don't think it can all be focused on education. I think you're going to limit some people who can't afford to go get education, you know, and you're going to prevent people who put the time and effort into it but just can't afford to go get it from making captain. I don't think
you got
it's
a lot of guys in my department like that.
I don't think it's a bad thing to have it, but I don't think just because I don't have college, I couldn't be a captain.
No, I mean, I'll tell you what, I took chemical thermodynamics this year. Boom. And I've learned a lot more from going to these smaller fire conferences and listening to guys with the education and the experience to back it up, and just taking that knowledge and putting it right into me. I've gotten more fired up with that. That's caused me to get back into the degree program a little bit better. And but I mean, it's not just one or the other, though, Travis. It's for me, it's both. You know, if you can spout off flow pressures and nozzle pressures or whatever, but you can actually go out and do it, I'd love to have you on my truck.
Yeah, Steve, up in Sayville, what is in the volley side of things? What are y'all requirements for making an officer in Holbrook?
Well, first I'm going to start because I realized this whole thing that I'm sitting here with this full-fledged beard.
Straight up, mutton chops.
But I am currently out of service, so I figured I'd grow out my beard. So I just wanted to put that
mutton
out there.
Chops.
Fair enough.
But no, on the volley end of it here on the island, every single department is different. My department in Holbrook, to be the second lieutenant of whether it's the engine company or the truck company, we require you to have the same exact qualifications as the chief of the department, with the exception of our chiefs are expected to have their EMT card. The way they looked at it was, at first, when they instituted like second lieutenants, they looked at it as, oh, well, it's a learning position. But if there's no first lieutenant on scene, no captain, no chief on scene, the second lieutenant is in charge of the scene. He's the highest ranking officer on scene. So how do you have somebody that's the highest ranking officer on scene and has minimal qualifications over the basic firefighter? But to start that, the qualifications aren't really that crazy what they expect of you, even for our chief of the department. We're expected incident command, incident safety officer, MPO, truck operator, trying to think, other than all, heavy rescue, RIT, a bunch of our county qualifications, county state qualifications, but there isn't anything
like no formal education
wise that you need a bachelor's in fire science or anything like that.
I hear you.
You tend to get a lot more guys that are, I'll say, firemen and not bookworms. But that doesn't, at the end of the day, it's a volley department, and it's all about the popularity contest anyway. So.
Oh man, I hate that.
That's the shame of it. Is I think I was having the conversation with Matt earlier today on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the guy that should have the job that gets the job. We currently have
Volatics.
We currently have the chief of the department that our board of fire commissioners has no confidence in, but they don't want to step on anybody's dick and say you shouldn't be our chief.
Yeah.
You know.
And now,
You know, that's the unfortunate part with the volunteer fire service. Is sometimes you might get a guy that's book smart, but can't run a fire scene for his life as a chief. But you might get the exact opposite. You might get the guy that's great running fire scenes. 100% confidence in him, but when it comes to running the office of fire chief, they have no managerial skills at all. So with us on a volley end of it, I think it's a big catch-22 with what you get.
and I think, going back to, your conversation with Matt, I mean, every department's going to have their different standards as what they say an officer needs to have qualifications or education-wise, right? Each department's going to be different, and that's just the nature of the beast. What is everybody's thoughts on characteristics of an officer? Like, what do you think in order to be what do you want out of your officer that's going to lead you in like personality traits? Not necessarily, oh, he's certified in this and he's certified in that, but what do you want out of that officer, characteristic wise?
So I don't like calling people out, but I'm gonna call Alex out because Alex just got promoted.
Oh, he did just get promoted. He did just get promoted. Let's unmute Alex real quick. Alex, congratulations on getting promoted, buddy.
Not a promotion.
It is
temporary. It's a temporary promotion.
Stepping up and leading. So,
Provisional.
Provisional, yeah.
it's not provisional. That's not civil service.
Okay.
Well, okay, Alex,
I'm a substitute captain.
What do you look out of your captain? What do you want out of your captain?
I want Darren Gazzardo.
Looks like a penguin.
Darren was a good one. Darren was definitely a guy who old school fireman that definitely had the right traits.
It didn't matter what the call was. He never got excited.
That's it.
And he always peed before every call. He ain't stupid.
There were several calls he peed at. I'm gonna go use your bathroom.
Right.
Jeremy, what do you?
Fire attack or water supply?
Yeah.
If it's water supply, you want Terry Payton.
Oh,
that's
Johnny
my fault.
Parker.
Jeremy, what do you expect out of your officer?
Man, that's a tough one. And I was sitting at the car dealership today getting my blower exchanged, and I thought I was going to type it, but I said, I'm going to save that one for tonight because for me, that's a big one. And y'all will have to forgive me if I ramble, but the first thing that a company officer needs to realize is that he's human and he fucks up.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing that you can realize, because for me, when you have a crew of people, oh shit, I'm losing battery life here. But when you have a crew of people and you're the supervisor and somebody messes up, man, you messed it up too. At some point, you messed that up. So why don't you, instead of jumping down his throat, figure out a way to teach him better, And for me, I don't know if Jared's still here, but something that I preach, and I own that I preach it, is family. Because without being a family and all of our traditions, it's just another plant job. We could be doing anything else, but with that family, you have to build that first. Everything else is compiled on top of that, because that's your foundation. And you're not going to build a nice house on a shitty foundation. It's not possible. It will crumble eventually. And for me, it's treating your guys like a family, because, my lieutenant, his name's Jared. My kids can call him Mr. Jared, and he might help Dad out. But it might get, too hairy in there, and I just couldn't help him out. But Uncle Jared will burn his damn ears off trying to make sure that I get home to walk my little girls down the aisle. And he knows that, and he respects that, and so do I, and so do my children. And they come to the station, they tear the damn station up. But they come to the station all the time, and those guys are there, and we love each other. So having some empathy, being caring, and not doing the shit that your dumbass supervisors did before you, don't do that stuff. I'm every bit of every company officer that I ever worked for, and I'm every bit of my father. And he taught me how to be a certain set of things, and then I watched those guys ahead of me. And the stuff that they did that I didn't like, I don't do. I try not to do. I'll screw it up sometimes. But the stuff that they did that I loved, that's absolutely what I'm gonna be. And it's kind of like the carrot out in front of you that you can never get. That's perfection, and you'll never get it. You just have to realize that you'll never get it, and you'll always strive to achieve that, and back it up with some knowledge and some experience too. And the best thing I can say is take all of the blame and none of the credit. I got captain of the year. I got captain of the year, which is bullshit. My crew got captain of the year. And that thing's still sitting in the cabinet at work. We meant to hang it up, but it's not here at my house. I didn't deserve that. I just steered the ship. That's all I did. They did all the paddling, all the swabbing the deck, and everything like that. I was just a skipper, so I don't deserve any of that. They got crew of the year is what they got.
Yeah.
I didn't get nothing. I got the recognition for it, but that's now I feel like I got to live up to something. It was an honor, but that was an honor that I'll give the guys on my truck. They work hard every day to make sure that the public's happy, that I'm happy, and that they're happy in their job. And so I have to remember that I have to cultivate that. It's not my job to give them the will to do it. It's my job that when I see the will to do it, I don't stamp that out and say, well, it's too hot to train today. I don't feel like it. It's too cold to train. That's bullshit. If you say, hey, Cap, you want to go pull some hose? Fuck yeah, let's go do it. What, right now? Yeah, it's raining. I don't give a fuck. You go. Your
Fires
water
happen in the rain.
Yeah. So I'm everything that they want to do, I do it. And sometimes it seems like I'm not doing it because I have to make time because the fire chief has his schedule, the deputy chief has his schedule, the assistant chief has his schedule, the district chief has his schedule, and I got my schedule. So sometimes it might get put on the back burner, but it happens. And we just have to remember we're a family. We need to cultivate that. I hear don't get excited when you're on scene. Yeah, we all know that. I'm not going to act like I've seen everything before, but I'm not getting too excited. It's our job to mitigate the disaster. It's not to show up and start losing our minds with everybody else. So, yeah, don't do that. But just remember, you're a family, and as a company officer, you're kind of the head of that family. So act like it. Damn it.
Matt Kirk.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Because I've been writing on how, as a father, you are the officer of your family. Right. And I couldn't, for the life of me, find a quality in a good captain that I didn't want to bring home as a father. And, you penned it up well. Jared, can we get you to chime in? Is that the same Jared?
I think I can unmute you right here, Jared.
No?
There you go.
Hey, how y'all doing? Can y'all hear
me? Yeah, we got you, buddy.
All right. Yeah, just going back to what Jeremy was talking earlier, and I don't know if y'all know it, but I think he was referring to something that he and I both read. It's a book called Extreme Ownership. And have y'all heard of that book before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great book on leadership. If you haven't heard of it, or if you haven't read it, highly recommend it. But as a company officer, what I look for and what I think Jeremy does really well is what I would call leading by example. You don't tell your guys what you expect of them and then go back in and sit down and watch TV. Me personally, if I just know a job needs to get done and I look around and nobody's doing it, like squeegeeing out the bay, for instance, on Thursdays.
That's a big one, yeah.
Every Thursday, you know, it's in the St. George policy that you clean the paved areas. Well, every Thursday morning, I look around and nobody takes that initiative. So instead of jumping on guys' asses and saying, you know, why the hell aren't y'all doing this?
Just do it.
I'm gonna go grab a squeegee. I'm gonna start doing it, and what do you know? 2 seconds later, I look behind me, and everyone's standing there with a squeegee. So
going back to when we were talking to Alex, Alex said he wanted to be like Darren Gazzardo. I had captain after captain after captain tell me, you know, hey, let's go ahead and start chores. And when I was working for Darren, he never once said, let's start chores. He'd get up, he'd pick up the broom, and me and Alex would jump up right behind him. There's no way my captain's doing chores while I watch TV.
Bingo.
But he never had to say, let's do the chores. We just jumped up and did it. We followed his example.
And I tell you what, Matthew, on that, you know, guys that work in houses that have a few people, and I know it's not everywhere, but that senior man, that's that guy. And as good or bad as an officer can be, the crew is hinged upon that senior man because he's the guy that, like Jared said, what are you doing out here with the squeegee? My freaking job was to look like, man, come on, you know? And he leads by example. You know, you don't ever want your problem to get to the company officer level. If you're a firefighter, those senior men, those are the guys that get it done. And right now we have a big transition because we're starting to get 4 to a truck every day. And my senior man, he's 22. He doesn't have a lot of time on the floor. We're a very young department. And we're constantly in Jared mostly is trying to whip him into shape to be that senior guy. Because unfortunately, he's got, you know, a probie that's 31. The guy ain't never been a fireman in his life. He don't know what he's doing. But guess what? You're 22. You know the ropes. Step up to the plate, man.
Yeah, bingo. I think there's a big thing. I feel like a lot of times people are afraid to, you know, I say hold people accountable because they're afraid to piss other people off.
Nobody wants to be the dickhead.
Bingo. Nobody wants to be a dick, right? So I think there needs to be an understanding of, you know, I'm not trying to be a dick. There's just things that need to be done, and they need to be done. And I think what y'all said, it's not so much standing up and saying, hey, I need you to go fucking clean the toilets. It's get up, start cleaning the toilets, lead by example. I think that's the best way you can lead people. You know, I mean, the guys who know me know that I talk a lot. That's just, I guess, being from New York, that's just how I am. I like to think that I practice what I preach. You know, I think that's a big thing. You can sit there all day and bark at people and say these things, but if you don't have the substance behind your words, it doesn't really mean a damn thing. You know, Matt Kirk, what do you think about that? I haven't heard from you yet. I think I can't hear you, bud.
Yeah, we're not picking you up on your mic. You're not muted, but
Ain't got you, bud.
Oh, look. I feel like I can hear it clicking, but I can't hear him.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there.
Try taking your earbuds out, Matt.
Yeah, take your earbuds out.
Yeah, try unplugging it from your phone, bud.
Let everybody hear you. I don't know
what's going on over there. Well, we tried. Anybody else got something they want to add?
Matt, you know sign language?
Something about
How's this sign language, Anthony?
He said something about cleaning the toilets. Like my captain takes the trash out every morning. He's my captain, so I started taking the trash out every night. There ain't no trash in the morning for him to take out no more. I mean, I want to make his job easy.
But see, when it comes to us, when we're only running 2 or 3 guys at a station, it's almost a little different because, I mean, do all the chores fall on you just because you're the operator?
No, it's not like that. He still does his job.
Yeah, we did that for a while. We had 3 and 3 at my station, so we had 6, 3 on the aerial, 3 on the engine, and the 2 captains cleaned the station every morning, me and Pickle, and we had it down to an art. I mean, 35 minutes flat, and everything looked brand new. I don't care what happened the night before, and we didn't moan and complain about the mess we were given either. It was my thing to clean the house in the morning. I'm a big stickler on being germ free, and 22 years and I ain't caught nothing yet, so I guess it's working. But so we cleaned in the morning, and everyone else kind of went around that. That was cool, but that was something that we both participated in. But I wanted to ask an opinion, since we're talking about cleaning toilets. So I see a lot of people say, if you have your pro be cleaning toilets, you're bullshit, this and that. But I've run into something in the last few years, and it's taken me the last, 15 years to really hone in. And that was something we take them, we sit them down first thing, and we have the talk. And we have that big, expectations, something that we outline. And Jared and myself, we kind of good cop it, bad cop it a little bit. We both have our pluses in that category, but then we take them and we show them everything we want them to do, including how to clean a toilet. And then they're judged on that, because if I can't trust this dude to make sure that, there ain't nothing on the toilet seat for the rest of us for the rest of the day, or anybody from the public or the fire chief that might come in, then I can't trust him to make sure that we got spanners or nozzles or anything else. And we do take him out afterwards, and we say, okay, this is our truck. We're going to show you that. But I see a lot of crews out there, they just say, here, Rook, here's a truck check sheet, man. And they go and drink coffee. That's bullshit. Y'all are just drinking coffee. Y'all ain't teaching them shit. He's checking the truck. You're not looking at it as a learning opportunity. You're looking at it as a task, something that you have to do. And that's the wrong way to, I don't know. For me, that's the wrong set of eyes to be viewing it with. Am I wrong in that?
I don't think you're wrong. I think
at all, man. As an operator at our department, when we get new guys to come into my station, I make it a point to go out there every morning with them, and I go over every inch of the truck, every tool we have in the truck, every medical item, and I do that for multiple shifts. And I finally just sit back and I watch them do it, make sure they're doing it the way I taught them, and they do it the same way over and over again until they get, it's just repetition after that. I don't sit back and watch them at all. I go out there with them every time.
That's good.
I'm not even off.
Something I can say is, Anthony, I know you know your truck up, down, left, right. That's the way it needs to be. When you get an operator come in that's working for you, and I say operator, our department starts off at operator. We're small. So when you get a new guy coming in, and you know your truck, and you show them you know your truck, they are going to want to know their truck. And you are leading by example.
Right.
You're not sitting in there drinking. You're not upstairs drinking coffee and letting them do the job by themselves. But you, at the same time, you got to kind of let them. You got to kind of let them do their job as well. So I've got a new guy with me as of the last 2 or 3 weeks. I told him, I was like, look, I'll run the lights, I'll run the pump, and I will check the small engine. And I want you to go through that inventory and kind of watch them and make sure my truck is in a good. I'm still the operator of that truck, but I want to make sure it's in a good. It's ready to go. And I also want to show him, like, I'm trusting you to get this job done.
Right.
If you don't give somebody a little bit of trust, I don't think they're going to grow.
I think it's also you're giving them a little bit of responsibility. You're saying, hey, look, I need you to do this one thing. Whether it's cleaning the toilet or it's going out and checking the truck, I need you to do this one thing. I need you to just do this one thing good. And it's teaching them to just be responsible for their actions and making sure that they follow through 100%. on what they're asked to do, whether it's our department when they come in as an operator, or it's a bigger department and they come in as a straight probie and they don't have any other responsibilities. It's just teaching them what you expect of them, little steps at a time. I can't come in and say, hey, I expect you to come in here and we're going to go in and we're going to split search and I expect you to search this whole side of the house by yourself. Can't do that to them. You got to build up some sort of trust with them.
Yes.
So if you can say, hey, look, I need you to do this minuscule task and do it well. If you can do that well, we'll move up to something else. And then it grows from there. You have to build a foundation to create that trust with that person, to grow with that, because you can't influence people if they don't trust you.
It goes back to what Jeremy said. If you can't trust somebody to make sure the damn toilet's clean in the morning, then you can't trust them to go to the truck to do anything. You can't trust them to go into a fire scene with you to do anything either. It all boils down to the little stuff.
So Joey, unmute your microphone. You had a really good relation with your last captain. He just left. Like, I mean, y'all had that trust. Y'all were the A team. Where you at now, man? How are you building trust with your new captain?
Well, again, we're lucky enough to be in a smaller department, so you get to kind of work with everybody. And the captain I have now, Lucas, is he has very similar traits to Cayman. So it's kind of, as of right now, it's kind of feeling each other out. That type of stage. What are you gonna do? What am I gonna do? And
did you just say sucking his dick, Anthony?
Yeah,
I thought that sounds gay.
Well, true, but I mean, you know how it is. Like it's kind of.
Joey, you can go back to being muted. We don't want to hear about what y'all feeling each other.
So what is something different? What is something different that Lucas does as opposed to Cayman did? That's an adjustment for you that y'all have to kind of work out how that's going to flow, because you were with Cayman for so long. Y'all had that.
You can't just trust this guy because he come in with a gray shirt that says captain. What are you doing?
It's just a lot of – I mean, it happened whenever I first came out here with Cayman. It's just a lot of talking, what's expected out of each other. And, it's just an adjustment period. I can't really tell you how it's going because, he's had vacation here and there, and we've only had a couple shifts together. But it's – I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's awkward. It feels like this 5 has been my home for so long, and it's weird seeing a new guy come in and then be the boss. So it's just a lot of trying to work stuff out, And plus, too, we haven't had the training, and that was the one thing with Cayman. We trained a lot, and I knew what was expected of me and what I expected out of him. And I think it's just, it's an adjustment period. I haven't had that time with Lucas yet, and it's just a matter of time.
Alex, we were messing with you before that you just got promoted. You say you didn't, but in the grand scheme of things, you're going to be the man out there at Station 3 on A shift. What are you going to do to to lay down your expectations with Chris? And it's not necessarily saying this is what I expect from you, but what are you, how are you going to try and build that relationship with him?
I'm gonna keep it just like typical A shift. We ain't gonna do shit. Leave station 30 and
hey, we put fire on.
Penguin looking motherfucker.
Chris got hired 6 months after me, so he knows what he's doing. I know he knows what he's doing. But like Joey said, you feel him out. If something needs to change, he's had Phil as a captain. Phil's a great captain. I really honestly don't think I have anything to worry about with Chris.
No, Chris is a good dude.
Yeah, Stephen Eller down there. Unmute yourself, bud. There you go. Yeah, no. What are some things you expect out of your officer?
Well, I like to be able to have a good leader that's going to influence the rest of the shift. He doesn't necessarily have to work as hard as the rest of us. I kind of feel like we should be able to pull our own weight and let him, kick back. Not necessarily kick back, but I know he's got other things he needs to do. In our department, we're 7 shifts. We have one officer that covers all 7. We cover 2 stations. We run about 3,000 calls a year, and we cover 48 square miles.
Eller.
So he's got a lot. Yo, what's up, Chevy?
Hey, man, I made it finally.
Sorry,
y'all.
Our officer's got a lot that he's responsible for during our
I'm
shift.
driving down the road, so I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
You good? I figured you do some stupid stuff.
Steven, I know just from being, on Facebook and stuff with you, I see that y'all train almost every day at your department. Is that something that comes from the guys, or is that, something that's dictated by your officers and y'all just grow with it, or is that just y'all doing your own thing?
It's pretty much us doing our own thing. Our officers are pretty lenient as to what we do. So we work a 48-hour shift. We'll come in on the first day. One group's on the squad. 2 of us is on the squad. And then on the second day, we rotate to the engine. We get as much training as we want throughout the 48 hours. We can go do whatever we want in the city. Our city's pretty nice. The mayor and everything's cool. They let us go anywhere, do whatever. So it's pretty beneficial.
So y'all kind of have, your officers are a little bit more laid back, and just kind of let y'all do what you want.
Yeah. To some extent they do.
Yeah, I mean, they're still going to hold the reins in, but they let you kind of go. That's good.
Yeah, it's beneficial some days.
Hey, I got Dallas here with me. What's up, man?
Dang, y'all got the whole crew chiming in, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy, what'd you run out of battery, buddy? You had to switch over to the computer?
Yeah, man. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Yeah, I ran out of battery. I missed some of the conversation, but
that's all right. So I'll bring up another topic. Dang. Oh no, there he is up in the top right. Okay. Here's a time. I know there's one person in this group that's in favor of it. I don't know about the rest of us, and that's what we're here for. But we got this clean cab concept that came out. Yeah, it's the device, man. Clean cabs is.
You see
listen,
that, buddy?
Clean cabs is almost as almost divisive as smoothbore versus fogs, right? Everybody's got their own opinions on it.
Nowhere close.
Anthony, explain why you are in favor of it. And I'm not attacking you. But
I don't care if y'all.
This is why we do this, so we can have these conversations.
Everybody's got an opinion on the matter. Everybody's got an opinion about everything. My reasoning for being for the whole clean cab thing is why not reduce the amount of contaminants that we can. Even if it's just a little bit. I understand some people, well, you still got your uniform on, whatever when you're done, but that's still reducing the amount of contaminants that we can. And whether you get dressed on the scene or at the station, if everybody's getting in the truck at the same time, you're spending the same amount of time getting dressed no matter what you're doing. And the way Miami has their cab set up is there's a special spot on the back of the cab where your gear goes, your SCBA goes, and all the tools that you might need are in the same exact spot. So you can't say, oh, it's going to take me this much longer because I got to go here, I got to go there, I got to do all this stuff just to get bunked out. Well, that's really not the case the way they have it set up. I'm not saying we can do it with our setup because it's impossible. We don't have enough room on our trucks. But if everybody started going towards that clean cab concept, that with the whole gross decon situation, if you did that and departments being able to afford second sets of bunker gear, which most of us can't. I mean, there's a lot of stipulations that would have to go into this in order for it to work properly. I mean, my whole thing is that, yeah, I'm here to protect and serve the people that are in my district. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I have no problem putting my life on the line for that. But why do I do something unnecessary if I don't have to? And my whole thought process on this is that maybe one day I'll get to see my grandkids, walk down the aisle or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing my job for them and for the people that I work for in the district. That's my thing.
Well, before Travis jumps back in, something I will say, they're showing in studies that brand new turnout gear is releasing carcinogens.
Right.
So, I mean, we do know we're going to be exposed. We know when we go to a job, we're going to be exposed. That's why we wear our PPE. But if we've got to protect ourselves from brand new gear, I can see how the clean cab concept would come to fruition. But personally, I don't think we should have to protect ourselves from our gear.
Yeah,
you're never going to be
Matt. Let
free
me ask you a question on the gear, right? Because this is actually a topic that I have right now. You're saying the new gear puts off carcinogens, right?
Yeah.
Who here has properly washed their boots?
Not me.
And tell me the process you used, because according to any of the leather manufacturer boots, it's soak them in water.
Yeah. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's bullshit, but that's it.
Right. I'm going to clean my helmet. I'm going to clean my hood. I'm going to clean my gloves. I'm going to clean my gear. We're going to take everything out of the cab, and I'm still going to put on dirty boots every day.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
But you're
and
reducing
I'm
the amount
not
you're
saying I'm
exposed to.
against the clean cab concept. You know, trust me, I want to see my son and everybody else, you know, live as long as I can. But I think we need to figure out how to clean the basics before we try to pull everything else out of the cab.
I agree with the whole cleaning the stuff, but I mean, the thing with the clean cab is that you're not putting excess contaminants in the cab. So if you take your boots off before you get in the truck and you put your station boots back on, you're reducing. I'm not saying you're getting rid of all the contaminants, because that's impossible. You know this. I know
Right.
this. Your SCBAs will never be 100% contaminant free, ever. We know this. But to reduce the amounts that are in the cab, whether by taking all your SCBAs out, because you know every SCBA has material on the straps and wherever else. Your boots are all jacked up. Your bunker gear is all jacked up. All your tools, everything. So if all of that never enters the cab, and the only contaminants that you get in the cab are literally from your station clothes that were underneath the turnout gear, you're really reducing the amount of contaminants that are in the cab that you're exposed to for a longer period of time. That's the thing.
You know, somebody had mentioned on the thread about this when I posted it, that their department adopted the theory that, and it requires every department to buy a second set of bunker gear, which is expensive and not
Very
everybody
pricey.
can do it. But their department was, they catch a fire, every air pack and every set of gear that was involved in that fire goes in the back of a pickup truck. They switch over to their second set of gear. When they get back,
That was after gross decon too. They did that.
Correct. They put it in the back of a pickup. They bring it back. They clean it the way the manufacturer is supposed to clean it. And then that becomes their spare set of gear while they're in their second set of gear until they catch their next fire, and they rotate it like that. I think that is a more efficient, I wouldn't say more efficient, but I think to me that makes a little bit more sense than saying, hey, you can't have gear in the cab. You can't have, SCBAs in the cab. Because for us, Anthony, at a smaller department, yeah, we can't get away from it simply on the way that, we're staffed and things like that. But when you got 5 guys getting in the back of a truck, it's different. They don't have a seatbelt rule like we do. You know what I mean? Like, they're getting dressed in the back of the cab. They're rolling. While they're rolling, they're getting geared up. And in order to say to somebody, hey, you now need to wait till you get on the scene, you're now taking time away from those people.
Well, that's what I was about to ask, is at what point do we consider the lives that we are supposed to protect? How do you explain to a family when you jump off the truck and their family member is in the structure? How do you explain to them, oh, wait, we have a clean cab, I got to put my gear on and my air pack, versus jumping off the truck, geared, packed out, ready to go. When your feet hit the ground, you ready to go.
Okay.
We can automatically go in and start doing our job.
Okay, so how do you explain to your kids in 10 years that you got cancer because you didn't wear a pack or something? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
it's not just about the people you protect and serve. It's about yourself too. And if you can't protect yourself from getting shit, you can't protect somebody else either.
And I understand that, but at the same time, we pretty well come into this career field knowing that, hey,
that's no excuse, Aaron. That's no excuse.
I understand that, but at the same time, it goes back to a picture that we seen on Facebook. How do you explain to that frantic mother at 2 a.m. screaming that her 2-year-old daughter is in the house that you got to put your gear and your air pack on?
I get what you're saying, but like I said,
and that's my own.
We have a seatbelt policy. We can't get dressed en route. Now, so at that point, whether everybody jumps in the truck at the same exact time and hauls ass to the scene and gets dressed there, or if everybody gets dressed beforehand, you're taking the same exact amount of time to get dressed in our situation.
But
even at 65, you're not supposed to drive wearing buckles.
Yeah,
So
I agree, and it's a hit or miss. But my only thing is, if we want to go to, why not do like what was said a minute ago? When you get done, you gross decon, take all of that stuff and put it to the side, and let's put clean air packs and clean gear on the truck.
Because most departments can't afford to buy more packs and gear. Aaron, you're talking a crazy expense to go buy air packs for every position twice, and then for every firefighter to buy 2 sets of gear.
Can I ask a question?
That is a crazy expense.
And,
Go ahead,
and
Benny.
I get that, but at the same time, how if just say NFPA comes in and makes a rule next year saying, hey, everybody's got to remove air packs from the cabs, everybody's got to create a gear storage compartment in the cab. How is that any different? Because now you're having to retrofit all of these trucks into taking all the air packs out of the trucks.
If that becomes an NFPA standard and we're required to do it, then you have to do it. We're not talking about an NFPA standard right now. We're talking about protecting ourselves by stuff that we can do ourselves.
Benny, you had something to say?
Our department recently has instituted a cancer reduction program, which involves having a gross decon bucket that includes fire wipes, extra super hazmat fire department soap, and we pretty much, after a job, we spray ourselves down, gross decon. Our gear gets taken off. Our air packs are cleaned on scene, all of that. Now, granted, and in that gear, we have gear washers. As a matter of fact, there's a freaking gear washer right there. And we've got, granted, I'm a municipality. I'm spoiled. I'm not like some of you guys here that are at small volley stations. But also, we're also taken out of service. We're out of service until we get back and we get in our second set of gear. But here's the thing. Now I'm going to your guys' side of the argument, to where smaller departments that can't afford a secondary set. That's another part of the problem, where the context of Facebook doesn't take into account, where a lot of these conversations and a lot of the chat lines don't take into account. You have municipalities that can afford this, and then you have smaller volunteer departments that don't. So you guys got to figure out something that works for you guys. It is an ultra, look at every single piece of equipment that you have in your locker. It says it's an ultra hazardous job. That doesn't mean, hey guys, I don't care, I'm going to get cancer in my balls. I'm not saying that's cool. I'm not. But I want to walk my son. I want to be able to punch him in the face one day and be like, haha, daddy got you. But, but also I understand there's a bit of risk, but I'm not taking ignorant risk. I'm taking inherent risk that is mitigated by as much as I can do. I'm trying to mitigate as much as I can do. So you guys got to make sure that I understand your guys' conversation, but it's different for our side. So you can't lump everything in together. You have to make sure that you're taking into account, like, you guys got to figure out what works for you guys. Like, I understand. I empathize for you guys. I really do, to be honest with you.
You hit the nail on the head when you said that we have to do what works for us. And that comes back to anything in the fire service, because FDNY, they got like fucking 8 sets of gear or whatever. You know what I mean? They can afford it. They got the money. It works for them. Their tactics works for them. Their SOPs work for them. They're not going to work for us down here, little fire district 12, running 2-3 guys on a truck. It's just not going to work for us. So I'm with you, Anthony, on we need to lower the carcinogens and we need to do something to protect us, but we need to do something that works for our department. And I don't think the clean.
I'm not saying the clean cab does, dude. I'm just saying I like the idea of it.
Yeah, and that's. Go ahead.
I personally like the idea, but I want to see it brought down to a level of personal responsibility. A lot of the guys I see chiming in on this clean cab stuff, they've got pictures of them working overhaul wearing no mask.
Right.
Bingo.
If you want the cab to be clean, you at least need to protect yourself when you're in an actual hazardous environment.
Exactly.
And they're not doing it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing you smell when you get a brand new car. You know what you're smelling? Hydrogen cyanide.
Yep.
Come on.
It smells so good, though, Benny.
I know it does.
Smells so good.
Hey, brother, I haven't smelled that smell since I got out of the military and had a 48% interest loan from the nearest Navy Federal.
It's the
Since we
same.
all became firefighters, we don't know what a new car smell is.
That's it. You smell a job working and you smell a new car, you get the same endorphins.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
you get that when you walk into that cab and you're just like, oh man, they made one last night. But it smells good in there.
Where somebody else caught a
There's
job.
something about the smell.
Exactly.
There's something about the smell of a firehouse the next day after the guys catch work. You know what I mean? I'm all about.
Like,
You mean it smells
certain
like
things in the
smoking
fire
nut?
service that are just like, man, that gets you going.
Unfortunately, about 88% of the time, my firehouse smells like Joey's butthole in the morning.
I had some things I wanted to add to that. And Anthony, man, I agree with you. I just lost my father to cancer in March. It was sarcoma cancer. It was pretty quick, and he started in '71. and when I started in '96, he said, "Now, Jeremy, let me tell you something. Anybody tells you you're a pussy for wearing an air pack, you punch that sumbitch right square in his nose." I said, "Dad, we ain't like that no more, you know. We don't get down like that. We all wear our air packs, and we all believe in it." And I think that's something that everybody here, Anthony, with what you're saying, we need to definitely reduce it. Long gone are the days of the saltiest helmet and the saltiest gear. And let's be honest, it's a dick measuring contest. It's pretty freaking stupid too.
Yeah.
But we've all, everybody here has participated.
Oh yeah, I know.
At
Trust
one
me,
point in
I've been.
time. And
I've
I'm
been there
down. I'm down with reducing it, but I try to use Captain Shannon Stone from. I think everybody might have seen him here. He had a Facebook post a while back about you be what you want showing up for your children. And if my fire department shows up and starts to put on gear and something's wrong with my children, I got a problem with that. And I use the same gauge, and I get it. I don't want cancer. I want to walk my girls down the aisle. I know what it does. I am completely educated in it. At the same time, I volunteered. They didn't come and ask me if I wanted a job. I went and asked them. And we have to take certain risks. Should we mitigate it? Yes. Should we reduce everything? Yes. Am I going to stop cooking on my big green egg? Hell no. And, you know, there's at some point it's inescapable and we can't get away from it. But, you know, I still, like with everything, it needs to be that balance. And we don't need to be all fog nozzles. We don't need to be all smooth bores. We don't need to all be clean cabs. We don't need to all be salty ass gear. We need to find that balance. And I think that's the commonality between all of our departments. And like Benny was saying, you have to find that balance for you. And you have, not only when you find it, you know, you have to help that into your department as well. But it has to be a healthy balance. We have the physical program that's getting started, and already before the program's even started, I have a chief talking about taking blood pressures every morning. And if you don't, you know, measure up, say hey everybody.
Hey.
Hey.
So if your blood pressure isn't in target range, you're off the truck. Wait a second. We just got started with this. What are you expecting this overnight? You know, it's not an overnight change. Nothing is. And we need to, Anthony, preach it loud. And, hey, Jennifer, and preach it from the mountaintops, brother, because you are affecting change. And some people might think that you're extreme in your views. I don't. I think if that works for you, brother, do it. But, you know, even in your department, if they think that it's extreme, then at least you can come to a point of compromise to where now this is a fluent language that we speak. And that's better than we were yesterday. You know, so we have to have that balance. Unfortunately, I think that at the end of my career, who's the person with the least amount of time here? We got anybody under 5 years?
Joey.
I'll hit 5.
I think by the time Joey retires, I think that unfortunately we will still find out that firefighters are getting cancer at an alarming rate, even after all of this, because
there's always going to be an increased risk for us. We know this coming in.
It's there and it sucks, and I hate it. I wish it wasn't there, you know. And especially those older guys, they have a hard time digesting this conversation because, you know, they aren't on the streets today. When I talk about a 7/8 step, he looks at me like I'm from Mars, man, because the last time he went in, it was, you know, 1-inch hand lines and automatic nozzles, and they'd go in there and that was it, you know. That was the last time he did it. That was 30 years ago. I mean, that don't work anymore.
My biggest thing is I know right now that's my thoughts on the whole clean cab thing. But, you know, I'm still going to be that first guy on the scene I'm going to be ready to roll. You know, I'm upgrade captain here a lot of the time, and I get dressed before. You know, I do all that stuff. Same thing y'all do. I'm ready to roll when I get to the scene. Right. I'm the first guy jumping out of the truck, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. But like I said before, we all need to work towards reducing the stuff that we're exposed to. And like Benny said too, it may not be the whole clean cab concept completely, but there are steps we can all take to reduce the contaminants, you know, and it's the same things you were saying. We got to find what works best for our own individual needs.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just going to take time.
There is one thing that I would like to see more, and that's, you know, everything that we've talked about so far in cancer reduction has been on our end. If you look at the danger of PFOAs, I think that's a website, but there's like a Facebook page dedicated to this, and they do a lot of study. They were the first ones to send strips of brand new bunker gear off to be tested for carcinogens, and guess what? It was positive. And our department is looking for, what are you doing? Our department is looking towards new gear because it is more water resistive, so it would like basically float. That's because they sprayed more cancer into it.
Right. Yeah.
And we're switching to it, and we're like, you know, on the verge of Clean Cab Central, which I don't think it's going to happen where we're at. What they were talking about was you take your gear, your air pack, you bag it up on scene, you throw it in this coffin top box on top of the truck. And I asked them, I said, so when I round the corner at Drusilla and Jefferson and there's a van on fire, what are we just going to wait?
Yeah, what am I going to pass it up?
That's not going to transcend to Facebook very well, because, you know, they all going to be standing there like that. There goes a fire truck. But I've pulled up on that. I've left the fire scene. We're going back. Thank God I filled the truck and made sure everything was back in its place, because when we turned the corner, there's 6 people standing there with a minivan fully involved, and we had enough time. Most of our guys were in their gear, and you know, that was back in the days where we didn't scrub each other down after we came out, but they at least got all their suitcases out the back of a fully involved van, and that's everything they had, man. I mean, that's what we're there for. I don't know. This is what I thought we were there for, but you know, and we need to focus on that, and we need to put that out there for the public to see. You know, whenever you're training, video it, put it on Facebook, make it public. People think we just sit around and drink Cokes and BS and watch football all day anyhow. Nothing ticks me off more when I pull up on a call and then they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I woke you guys up."
Yeah.
What the hell? You thought we was sleeping? I ain't took a nap at a firehouse in 15 years. Well, there was
I'm not gonna lie to you. I took a nap today. I did.
I'm not saying that's bad. I did fall asleep the first quarter of the Saints game. They looked like shit, but I woke up after the fake field goal, and apparently the Saints woke up with me, and it all worked out. But you know, I try to keep myself busy, motivated, and somebody somewhere at my station will probably be taking a nap, and that's cool. I don't want zombies at 2 o'clock in the morning, but somebody won't be, and I'm going to be there for them. And you know, I just kind of want to be that example of, this dude don't stop. He's 40 years old, been here 22 years, and this dude's walking circles around me. I want to be that guy to say, this is still a kick in the pants, fellas. I still like making fires. This is fun. But, yeah, going back to the cancer reduction, Anthony, disagree or not, you're doing it good. You're trying. And that's an effort that needs to be made for all of us. And, bro, my hat's off to you for that. Even in a sea of people right now that may or may not agree with it, you still stand your ground, and I like that, brother. And keep it up, because we'd still be wearing air bladders without people like that and innovation in the fire service. We'd still be, you know, taking the sponge and giving the old battle cry and running in, you know. We don't need to be that, you know, but I like that, man. I love it, especially somebody, you know, you probably aren't, you know, in welcome company in a lot of situations. People may disagree with it. Screw it. You stick into your.
Don't bother me at all.
There's a point to it, you know, and you believe it.
Right.
Always welcome in my
That's where we always need to be, man. We need to cultivate that. I think we do. That's why this is such a great idea, because we do too much damage. And I don't know. I bit down on the brotherhood stuff when I was 3, running around Baton Rouge Fire Department headquarters, and that was a family. And Facebook, it doesn't transcend very well. The text of it, you know, you can see my face right now.
Right.
And, you know, I could say, you son of a bitch, or I could say, you son of a bitch. But, you know, so this is good. I love this part of it, man. I really do.
I definitely enjoyed this. It's been good.
On that note, you know, I think for the first time, I think this went great. I want to thank everybody for, you know, tuning in and putting in your input, and you know, like we said, face to face, we can have these conversations, and you're going to know if I'm calling you a son of a bitch or a son of a bitch, you know?
Right.
Thank you guys. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We have this recorded. We're going to end up posting it up so we can kind of go back and watch it, and we can take little pieces out of it, whatever you want. If you guys want to throw it up at your stations, get some conversations going, cool. We're going to try and make this like a monthly thing from here on out. So just thank you guys, and look on the page for the video, and keep the post coming. It's we're working on something good here, guys. So thank you, everybody, and y'all have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, brothers.
Later.
Anybody know how to hang